Video assisted referee, virtual assistant referee, Vatican assisted referee, whatever you want to call it, VAR has been in place in Scottish football since October 2022, and needless to say, it has had a huge effect on the game. The hope with the introduction of this technology was that we would see less controversy around decisions and we would see an end to conspiracies about referees favouring certain teams. It could be argued, however, that the opposite effect has been achieved, with there seemingly being a calamitous game-defining decision that makes no sense, not just every week, but just about every game. So in this video, I'll be looking at how VAR works, its effects in Scotland, and if it isn't a solution, then what else can be done? The idea of VAR has been around since the early 2010s, with the first endeavours into creating a new level of refereeing being made by the Dutch.
There are only two things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures, and the Dutch.
The Dutch experimented with it before it started to make a presence around the world in 2016, with more countries starting trials with this new technology. Top leagues such as the Bundesliga and Serie A brought it in for the 2017-18 season, La Liga in 2018-19, the English Premier League in the 1920 season, and FIFA implemented it for the 2018 World Cup. Scotland, not wanting to be left behind, decided to join in, with SPFL clubs being given the chance to vote on whether or not VAR should be introduced in the Scottish Premiership, Scottish Cup, and League Cup games. Greenock Morton were the only club to vote against it, meaning we would get VAR introduced but in a staggered manner. Neil Doncaster said that, ideally you'd want it in at the start of the season, but it simply wouldn't have been ready. You could have taken the view that you could wait until the season 23-24, but there was a desire to bring VAR in as soon as it could reasonably happen. Other leagues have done the same with staggered starts to VAR. The cost of implementing VAR would set clubs back £1.2 million, with the amount each club pays being staggered based on league position, with the Hawkeye being the system used, the same as what is found in England. Originally, the plan was to bring it in after the Qatar World Cup, but we would see it implemented in October, with Hibs and St Johnstone being the first game to have it in use. It was outlined that VAR would be in use for straight red cards, penalty area incidents, goals, and mistaken identities. So, seeing as it has been in use at World Cups and other leagues for a few years now, most fans knew what to expect, and at the highest level, it generally seems to work. The 2018 World Cup was seen as a great advert for VAR, and with it being used on the continent and with people not really hearing of any issues, most people were either optimistic or apathetic to this introduction. England had been using it for a few years now, and there were some concerns over its use there, but maybe Scotland would be different. Well, Scotland was different, but not in a good way. First was the lack of transparency. The first game I can remember watching with VAR in use was Hearts at home against Celtic, where VAR got involved on multiple occasions, and it wasn't until the referee would make a decision that we actually knew what they were checking. And I was watching on TV, so imagine how confused fans must have been in the ground. Thankfully, at grounds where there are massive LED screens, they now put up a graphic saying what they are checking for, but some grounds don't have these. When Rafe played against Ross County in the playoffs last season, I got to experience VAR in use at a ground for the first time when it was deemed that Ewan Murray had handballed it. Barely anyone in the stands knew what was happening. It also hasn't removed the contentious decisions that many hoped it would. This season, the SFA created the Key Match Incident Review Panel, or KMI for short. This was a way of improving transparency and is ultimately a good move by the SFA. Willie Collum, who was made head of refereeing in May 2024, also hosts a VAR review at the end of the month, where, once again, it improves transparency and is actually a good way of explaining decisions. Now, whilst there is this improved transparency, there is one problem. It reveals how incompetent a lot of the referees actually are. The first KMI review was for the weekend of the 14th and 15th of September. Of the 31 incidents, 2 were listed as not relevant for the KMI, 7 listed VAR overturning a decision as the correct decision, And the one where VAR messed up was violent conduct involving a St Mirren player on a Kilmarnock player, which the panel voted 5-0 in favour of. The next week saw no VAR errors and 1 referee error from 17, 5 referee errors with no VAR errors the following week. September has proven to be a fairly successful month. The first week of October saw 1 VAR error in not giving St Johnstone a penalty against Rangers. Insert Masonic referee conspiracy here. The second week saw Hibs not given a red card against Dundee United, and the final week saw Celtic denied a penalty against Motherwell. November saw Hibs wrongly given a penalty against Dundee United, Celtic not given a red card against Kilmarnock, and then we get to match round 14, where Aberdeen avoided a red card against Hearts, St Johnstone again not given a penalty against Rangers, St Mirren and Dundee United getting a red card each, which were deemed incorrect. December saw Rangers denied a penalty against Celtic in the League Cup final. So, about that Masonic referee conspiracy. Is it a people referee conspiracy now? Anyway, Motherwell were denied a penalty against Dundee United. Then they were denied a red card and a penalty against Kilmarnock. St Mirren were denied 2 penalties against Ross County, who themselves were denied a penalty. And Motherwell were denied a goal against Rangers. January almost went by without incident, but matchday 24 saw St Mirren not given a red card against Aberdeen, Ross County were given a penalty against Hibs, Hearts were given a goal against Kilmarnock, and Rangers were wrongly given a red card against Dundee United. February saw St Mirren denied a penalty against St Johnstone, Hearts denied a penalty against Rangers, Celtic denied a last-minute equaliser against Hibs, Dundee United denied a goal against Hibs, St Mirren not receiving a red card against Hearts, and St Mirren denied a penalty against Celtic. I should point out, these are just the ones that the SFA themselves have admitted fault on their part. I'm sure you could list countless other examples of where you feel that referees have made the wrong decision that have had a major impact in games such as second yellow cards or corners and throw-ins being given to the wrong teams. In early February, Dundee United had come out and said that they would not send a representative to the KMI panel due to lacking trust in the system, citing the inconsistencies amongst decisions. St Mirren also put out a statement a few days before complaining about the referees. Rangers put out a statement after the cup final. Hibs put out a statement in February 2024, Motherwell in March 2024, Aberdeen in April 2024, and there have been hundreds if not thousands of complaints from fans and managers of Premiership clubs. But there is one unintended consequence of VAR that hasn't really been mentioned: the standard of refereeing outside the top flight. The Championship has suffered immensely with the introduction of VAR, as more of the higher level referees are being used as VAR officials, leading to some of the most bizarre performances I have ever seen. During the first half of the season, when discussing the weekend's action on the Salmon's Pizzeria Championship Roundup, me and my fellow Championship enjoyers/sufferers were noticing that even in games our teams won, games we don't have an attachment to, games in which our teams lost, we were almost becoming a lower league ref watch, just down to how bad some of these refereeing performances were. This was in the Championship, so imagine just how bad it gets further down the SPFL. If you go onto any social media site, you will almost certainly find a fanbase in the Championship calling for a referee to never be seen again. Even the referees who have dropped down from the Premiership seem to be lost, seeing as they now no longer have the perceived protection of VAR to cover up any major mistakes. So what can we do to improve this situation? Norway recently gave hope to the anti-VAR crowd, with the 32 clubs in their top 2 divisions voting 19-13 in favour of scrapping VAR, but votes from the lower league clubs prevented it from going through. Is VAR going to get scrapped in Scotland? I don't think so, as much as many of us would like it to be. So, how can we improve refereeing? An idea that has been going around for a while now is to have full-time referees. Yes, referees in Scotland are part-time, meaning those wishing to do refereeing full-time have to go down to England to do so and start again at a lower level, with Bobby Madden being an example of this. Allowing referees to become full-time will naturally improve the standard, as people doing a job full-time tend to be better than those doing the same thing part-time. There are more ways for technology to improve refereeing though. Currently, goal line technology is only used in the Scottish Cup final and semi-finals, with the SPFL saying back in 2017 that clubs would not be able to afford implementing it. When it comes to VAR, some of the issues have been down to the lack of appropriate angles. The Celtic disallowed goal at Easter Road, for example, was down to the ball being deemed as out. Now, from the angle of the camera, it is difficult to tell, but it begs the question as to why there isn't a camera pointed along the goal line to see if the ball is out or not, or even to be used as a form of goal line technology. Even for offsides, we are now seeing semi-automated offside technology coming to fruition, which would remove more opportunities for mistakes. There is also the idea of making referees declare their allegiances to avoid accusations of bias, but England does that and it doesn't stop people from it. And we'd end up with nobody to referee an Old Firm game now, would we? So, whilst all of this would improve the standards of refereeing, it will probably not happen for a while due to one major issue: costs. But there's another argument against all this technology. Does it actually improve the game? When VAR makes a check for a goal, it almost loses its magic having to sit there for what seems like forever. And what are humans if they don't make mistakes? When looking at the English Premier League and other top level football leagues, when compared to about 15 years ago, you almost feel as though these technological advancements have sanitised the game a bit, which is something that hasn't really affected Scottish football, something that has almost become a badge of honour up here. So, what path do we take? Do we go against the grain and become the footballing technology equivalent of Luddites, or do we continue with the unpopular decisions that allow us to attempt to keep up with the top leagues? This is a decision for the higher ups to make, and knowing what us football fans are like, whatever decision they make is going to be the wrong one. Just like most referees. That's all for this video, and of course I hope you enjoyed. What are your thoughts on VAR? How would you improve refereeing in this country? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. Of course, liking, sharing and subscribing are all appreciated, and I shall see you in the next video. Bye.